got Jackson in Tennessee as well. It's like Tennessee Day. Are you there? Jackson, you there?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, it's kind of like Tennessee Day. Actually, we were going to call and talk about the same thing, me and Joey, so it's even stranger in that sense. But,
evidently there's some goings on in Tennessee, which, by the way, is where the anonymous letter came from. So, hey.
No, I don't know anything about any anonymous letters, but I'm in a predicament like he is, except it's a little different because it's not just some person, who on the street that you pass and just like, oh, I believe in God, all this stuff. I'm an atheist, and I was a Christian for 22 years, and now I was started a relationship with a woman as a Christian, and she is Christian, and now I've kind of woken up, and I've watched a lot of your shows, and I appreciate you guys doing what you do.
Thanks.
And, it's gotten to that point where it's very hard to live with someone, that is, the basis of their beliefs is just different than yours, you know what I mean? And I just don't, it's so defensive that it's like walking on eggshells around this person. And it's not something that, you want to kind of avoid, but it's something that needs to be discussed. But the person that I'm, with, I love, I don't want to lose, and I just feel like every time that I want to express myself and my views and what makes sense to me, she gets so defensive, even if it's something small, like pointing out something like insufficient, like, well, why do you think hell exists, or why something small, like, and I just don't know how to get past that defensive barrier to where they just react in such a negative way, and it's just there for them. Like, I just don't know what I can do.
Well, let me ask this real quick.
Yeah.
Is this a one-way problem? I mean, does she constantly share her beliefs with you?
Well, it's not that she just shares her beliefs. It's the fact that she's very, she goes to church all the time, and her friends kind of look down on our relationship because they say, oh, what are you doing with this guy? Because he doesn't believe what we believe. And it's, it's very, like, I think they're like a little social group or whatever. It's just like, I can't, there's nothing I can do to say to her, hey, this is something that, maybe, I'm not crazy. I'm not, the devil, like, I'm not someone who's trying to say that maybe no God exists at all, but I am someone that says this doesn't make any sense, and you're relying on just text, and you're, they don't even want to open their eyes for 2 seconds to soak in anything because they're so scared. I think that's really what it is she's scared that she's going to, be judged, or, it's just the way it is because it's the way it is,
That's a powerful thing. I don't know. Did you have...
I was just, how long has this been going
on? Like 4 months.
Okay,
and it's gotten to the point where, it's just like, well, this is what I believe, and, I'm not, I'm just not moving. And it just breaks it's just so heartbreaking to me.
What if you could see, like, in a magic 8-ball, that in the future she will never change her attitude? Would you still stay?
Well, you see, I have a son, too. That's not a constitution. That's another thing. Like, oh, I should be raising this way as opposed to this way, love is a funny thing. And you want to ignore stuff like that, but you just don't know how much you can take before you want to have hope. And I don't know. I can't put an answer on that because there's a lot of different things that come onto it.
I guess what I'm asking you is like, if you want to spend the rest of your life with this person, are you willing to accept them exactly as they are right now?
And
can you do that?
Pause, I think you know my answer. But that doesn't change the fact that I might have,
sure,
hope of,
Sure,
but,
and the fact that there's a kid in the situation as well is a big deal. And you're going to have, even if you decided to end the relationship, you're going to have a lot of issues with regard to how this kid's raised.
Exactly, because his mother, this isn't his mother, but his mother is that way too.
Well, sure. We've had, on the one hand, I know couples who seem to be doing just fine, where one of them is an atheist and one of them is not. And I know other couples where this has been an absolutely devastating, irrecoverable change. And, you know, I think it's happened for a lot of people after they've been married. I've heard from people who are like, you know, hey, we got married, we were both religious. In some cases, I was a preacher type thing, and now I'm not, and my wife doesn't know. Now I'm not, and my wife knows, or my husband knows, and this is a source of conflict. And what are we going to do? We can't reconcile this. You know, we still love each other. We still want to be with each other, but this is such a big deal. I have no idea. It's kind of on an individual basis of what do you think, you know, is going to make you the happiest. And other people have asked, you know, should I come out? Well, we can't make a determination as to whether somebody else should or shouldn't come out, but the kind of stock answer that we've been giving is, if you're not willing to lose everyone and everything that you love and care about and be ostracized and have your world turned upside down, then don't. But if it's more important for you to live honestly and be appreciated for who you are and what you believe than it is that you maintain the relationships that you have, then do. And if you think, you know, in your case you're already out, obviously you're having these conversations, but the same thing kind of goes for the relationship. And Tracie was absolutely right. If you're convinced that, you know, you can subsist in the relationship the way you are without nothing ever changing, that's what you have to start with as a default. You can't go into a relationship or try to continue a relationship thinking, maybe down the line I'll be able to change this person, because the odds are often slim, but it's not a good foundation for a relationship, the idea that you might be able to change someone else.
There is one other thing I can offer you beyond the just take it or leave it concept, and that is if you, depending on how serious this relationship is, if you're interested in couples counseling, one thing counseling is good for is helping people communicate in ways that are not stressful. So it's very possible that you could go to her and just simply say, this is causing a lot of distress for me, and would you come with me to counseling so that we at least can find a way to communicate with each other, or find a way to put this on a shelf to where it's not going to cause as much of a problem that it's been causing. Because it sounds to me like your frustration is with the communication aspect of it. And it could be that there is a method of correcting the communication to make this more amenable to you, to make it less stressful to be in that situation. But I don't know how you communicate with her. So, but you could go to counseling and they could make an assessment as to whether or not you guys could work out a better communication system that would alleviate at least some of the stress that you feel with these differences. And
on the communication front, I've said this before too, but I highly recommend that you don't get married until you've had all of the difficult conversations that you're likely to have, and that you have a good understanding of what the other person's position is, and have arranged some kind of compromise, some sort of agreement about how things are going to be handled. You know, it's just as silly for a theist and an atheist to think, okay, we're going to go ahead and get married because we're in love, without having these conversations, as it is for two theists or two atheists to get married without having conversations about, do you want kids? Do you want more kids? How many kids do you have? How are we going to raise those kids? Hey, what are we going to do when this type of conflict arises? What if one of us drastically changes who we are? You know, all of those, you know, conversations need to happen. As somebody who's getting married,
individual.
Yeah,
because I mean, I told my dad, and he agrees with everything that I say about the Bible. It's, you know, it's immoral. It's, you know, all this stuff. But when it comes to the last line of defense, as I like to call it, as in personal experience, you know, it's just that last, you know, thing where they're just like, oh, well, you know, and again, what makes them so special, I don't know. But I mean, you know, I don't want to take up too much of your time here talking about, you know, me and my situation. But appreciate your views.
Yeah, that's a tough spot. Good luck to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks much, Jackson.
Thank you.
Unrendered. We're unrendered.
Clearly.
Man, that show goes too fast.